This 14-year-old boy told me the other day that he's going to start taking steroids in order to build muscle. Listen, he hasn't even reached his full potential physically, but the boy had his whole stack down. I'm not talking about some light stuff, honey. He had the serious stuff, the trend, the testosterone, the DECA, and all this stuff. I was like, boy, wait, where did you hear this stuff from? Steroids are mainstream, ladies and gentlemen, and they are not going anywhere. And the crazy thing is, it's not just the competitors out there. It's your influencers, it's your trainers, it's just the average person looking to get into shape. And that might have you wondering yourself, is it required for you to step on stage and use steroids? Can you avoid it? Can you really be natural? What's the whole lowdown? That's what I want to talk about today. Now, I hate to start this conversation like this, but I got to say it. Back in my day when I used to compete, okay, it's been a couple of years, but the look of the different divisions was completely not what it is today. Yeah, we had to come in lean. Yeah, we had to have muscle, but there was still a nice femininity to the body that was maintained by the competitors and what was being rewarded. Now, I started off in figure, then I got my IFBB Pro card in women's physique, and I had the opportunity to compete at the Olympia in women's physique. And I'll tell you what we looked like back then in 2014, 2013 is completely different 10 years later than what the athletes are looking like right now. And there was a point that I saw that change happening and I hightailed the hell out of there. And it wasn't just me. It was other top level pros at the time who saw the shift and the change in divisions and decided that we wanted no parts in where the divisions were headed with how big and hard the girls were looking. Now, I always say you want to draw your lines in the sand and decide where you are going to stop. In my opinion, sacrificing my femininity and what I look like in order to win some trophies, it's not worth it. But I know that there are so many of you out there who are looking and you're seeing what's being rewarded on stage and you're wondering, hey, Rox, do I have to do that? What are some of my options, especially if I want to maintain a natural look and a natural physique? The first thing I'm going to say is, honey, it is your body. Bodybuilding is a great hobby. And for those of us who have been able to use it to be able to build businesses, to be able to get out into the fitness world and just create a career, it's amazing. It's an amazing vehicle. But the truth of the matter is that a majority of people will not see that kind of success. A majority of people are doing this for a hobby. And if you are a woman watching this, there's no money in the sport for you. One of the biggest issues among female pro competitors, particularly in the IFBB, is that there's a huge discrepancy between how much the men get in award money and what the women get. And when you break down the financial aspect of bodybuilding, okay, yeah, it kind of makes sense. However, you are sacrificing yourself, your fertility, body, your looks, and everything for a sport that will chew you up and spit you out and forget about you the moment you step off the stage. Is that worth it to you? Now, don't get me wrong, steroids will give you an amazing advantage. And the reason why we see these beautiful bodies, these lean, hard, big, full, and round physiques is because of steroids. Don't get it twisted, but it's more so now than it ever was before. Steroids have always been in the background of bodybuilding from day one. The difference between now and then is the amount of steroids that one chooses to take, whether you have the genetic potential to be able to not be able to take steroids, or if you can take other things such as research peptides, which, by the way, a lot are now banned in the way they were not years ago. Which leads to another point here. If you're someone who is really hell-bent on staying natural, there are organizations and federations for you to do that. And it would really behoove you to go to those. Now, some of them have funky rules where if you've been clean for about a number of years, 4 or 5 years, whatever, then they'll consider you a natural. And that may not be somewhere that you want to compete that has a completely even playing ground for those of you who've never taken anything. Perhaps looking into one of the federations where they drug test, or they do urinalysis, polygraph, and all that stuff to make sure that everyone is on the same playing field. But the truth of the matter is that we are just in a different time. And what was possible to do 10 years ago, like when I was competing, the big thing was doing as little cardio as possible, yet coming in show ready. You can't do that today. You got to be shredded to the bone. Or in the case of this question, can you compete naturally and win or become pro or do any of that stuff? The answer is, depending on the federation, probably not. Now, I know there are going to be some folks who are disappointed. Like, what should I do? Should I quit competing now? Should I just throw in the towel because everybody's on steroids? Absolutely not. Back when I was an amateur, just starting out, I didn't know anything about the sport. I just knew that I liked what I saw, loved watching shows, and I wanted to be a part of it. So I would just train my hardest, I would stick to my diet, I'd work on my posing, and I would get on stage. And I wouldn't worry about what the person to the left or the right was taking. All I knew is that I wanted to be able to hang with them. And you know what? I did. And I did really well. I was able to win trophies. I was able to win my class. I was able to win overall titles. And eventually I was able to turn pro. And I get those same kind of results with my clients today. Now, of course, I'm always very honest with them. And I say, hey, look, if you plan to compete in XYZ Federation, there is going to come a point where you're going to ask yourself, what do you want to do? Where do you draw your line in the sand? What are you willing to take and not take? And these are honest conversations to have, but they should be conversations that are had after you've developed yourself as an athlete, after you've pushed yourself to your fullest potential, after you have a number of shows under your belt, not just starting out the gate. This contest prep stuff is not easy. It can be confusing when it comes to the diet, the training, and all that stuff. So if what I'm saying right now is inspiring you and you're like, you know what, Roxy, I want to get on stage. I want to do the smart way. Well, go ahead and scan the QR code that you see on screen right now and download my free contest prep crash course ebook. I'm going to break it all down for you, from the training, the nutrition, everything that you need to know to get your mindset right to get on stage and have you coming out looking like a winner, honey, even if it's your first show ever. I got to tell you, my time spent bodybuilding has been some of the most exciting moments of my life. I wouldn't trade it for the world. I've met living legends, and I've been able to make friends that I still hold near and dear to my heart to this very day. Not to mention the foundation that I built while competing still is holding up all of these years later, even though I'm not a gym rat in the way that I was years ago. So I will always respect bodybuilding. I'll always have a love for the sport. And for me, being able to pass off my expertise to you so you can do this smarter and better, that's what it's all about for me. But look, if you're just getting started in this game, honey, I know it's like, what should I be doing, Roxy? What division should I be in? Listen, let me break it down for you. Go ahead and watch this next video over here. I'm going to tell you about the different divisions there are for women and hopefully show you where you need to be concentrating on. Okay, go ahead and I'll see you over there.